Hey everybody, it's Oliver here once again. This is the second episode of the Be Better podcast. Now, the first week or last week, we spoke quite a little bit about myself and what it is that I do. And so I gave you a bit of an introduction to me. And so what I wanted to do today is actually to discuss something, I guess that's a little bit more focused. And that something is your mind and what we define is success. So, what is success? What is success to you? How do you view success? I think the question of success is really coming down to what you believe success is. So I can be saying that, I can say I'm successful by having a good family, by having, kids, a wife, a home. I can call it success. Or another person might tell me success is living your own life on your own terms, just you, having the freedom to be anywhere you want to be, and just doing things essentially on your own terms. Another person might say success is monetary. You're trying to save up and make as much money as possible, investing money. That's success. Others might say success is giving what you have. So you have a lot of whatever it is, of your potential, you give that to others. You give your skills to others. You're working for others. That's what some others might say about success. So, yeah, it is interesting. So, obviously, by that statement, success depends on what or how you define it. That's what success is. It depends on how you define it, And so, if you are someone who is focused solely on being successful for yourself, it's probably a little bit of an easier journey for you because then there's not as much outside influence. Whereas if you are someone who's focused on success in terms of building blocks and family and everything else that comes with it and the business, success will mean something a little bit different. That's a little bit tougher. That means that you have to have the foundation within yourself and you have to build upon that and find the right kind of person or people to work with you along that journey. So it depends on a lot of factors. But essentially, anything requires work. Just don't get fooled by the fact that, you can just get things easy. Even what might seem easy is not always easy. There's always work that's behind it that we don't see from the outside. And I actually posted on Instagram not too long ago something about, this is my little principle. I call it the Porsche principle. And the Porsche principle is quite interesting because when you look at a nice car like a Porsche, the first thing you think is, man, that's a nice car. If you see somebody driving a Porsche or another fancy car, but in this case, we'll talk about a Porsche. If you see that, you might think, man, that's a nice car. And if you are driving maybe a real standard car and you're a little bit envious, then that might seem like that car is, how did this person do it? How did they get that car? How did they do this? How did they do that? And sometimes we can get a little bit of, resentment might be one word, but we might feel a little ill will to the person who we see as successful if we're not in the same position. So we start comparing ourselves to others and their success onto us. And so my thing with the Porsche principle is that from the outside, it looks beautiful, it looks nice, it's a nice car, etc. But on the inside, what makes it what it is and what makes it beautiful to drive is the work that goes in, right? So it's what we don't see behind the scenes. That's what makes it what it is. The craftsmanship that goes into it, the engineering that goes into it, the power that goes into it, so all of that is what makes it beautiful. So we see it from the outside. Now, think about that as individuals, as a person. We see somebody, we view success on the outside. Oftentimes we do that, and we often think that somebody is successful that might have gotten it easy or, start comparing ourselves to them, thinking, well, why can I not be in the same position as them? Asking why can I not be in the same position as them, by the way, is not a bad question. But what is a bad question is, how come they can do it and I can't do it? And what I mean by that is that you do not want to get in a position where you start feeling envious of somebody else. There's a fine line there. Being envious is not good, but if you're motivated, that's much better. And so that's the thing with this Porsche principle that, From the outside, things look nice, but on the inside, it takes a lot of work to get to that position. It takes a lot of work for the car to look nice. So that's the Porsche principle. So you'll hear me saying this in future as well, but I love that illustration for myself. And so, so just looking at success should be defined on your own terms. It should not be defined on somebody else's terms. We cannot start comparing ourselves and others and start thinking, well, I should be in this position or I should be in that position. And so for me, it's quite frustrating when I see these posts on Instagram or on other social media, which you guys might have seen as well, where someone might say something like, if you're not doing this by the age of this, then, you're not successful. If you're not doing this by then, I find it extremely frustrating because we're all on our own journey, So your journey is completely different to somebody else's journey. You cannot be here comparing yourself to what others are doing when you are still in stage A, whereas they're in stage J or Z. So comparison, although it happens sometimes without us even trying, it does happen. But you always got to look at your own situation, stay within your own lane, stick to your own lane. That's the number one thing. So your success. So think about this. This is an illustration. If you are, let's say you just bought a little nice house, right? Bought this little nice house. It's beautiful. You've worked so hard for it. You've spent so much time investing your money and saving your money and, building up that mortgage. You've done all that work. It's taken you, let's say, a couple of years to get to that point. And you've bought this little nice place and you're just about to get in there. And, you start buying some furniture. And then a friend of yours from out of town calls you, you talk, you want to catch up, you go for coffee, and then, you meet up and you start talking, and naturally you start talking about what's been happening in your life, and you explain that you've just bought this, little nice house of yours, and, you're happy, you are content, you're proud of yourself for having this place. And guess what? Then your friend says, I just bought me this little nice 5-bedroom townhouse or this little place by the beach. How do you feel all of a sudden? All of a sudden, you start thinking, well, I like what I have, but now why are they doing what they're doing, How come they can do this? You start comparing yourself and your success to where they are. And, of course, it's no good if your friends just be blurting out things like that, but if they didn't mean it maliciously, it was just a conversation, you all of a sudden start feeling like as if, your achievements are not good enough, You start thinking, damn, why not me? Why couldn't I be in this position? Why can't I do this? This house, maybe I want something bigger. Maybe I should try to get something bigger. So all of a sudden, your accomplishments, what happens there? You start throwing them out the window. You start looking at them and start thinking, I can do better. I can do this. Now, here's the thing again. If you're motivated with somebody else, that's fine. But if you start forgetting your potential, your version of success, if you start forgetting the amount of work that you put in to get to that position, and, if you start forgetting about sticking in your own lane, then it becomes a problem. Then it's a problem because then your success is based on somebody else, which is a shame. I've seen it many, many times, and I'm sure you've seen it many, many times as well, that people are viewing or basing that version of success on what others are doing, And it comes from many different places too. It can come from just you interacting with people. It can come from you looking, scrolling through social media and seeing this version of success that people might have that we think is really nice. Or it can even come from family members, It can come from any place. And so the number one thing you need to be doing is to stay within your own lane. Stay within your own lane. Appreciate nice things. Appreciate, being better. Appreciate striving for a little bit more. But stay within your own lane. Be proud of the success. Be proud of your journey. Every journey that you can look back on and you can say you're happy with is a beautiful journey. Is essentially what you need. Anything that you fast track, that you sort of, if you're jumping from one position to another completely, then you miss out on that learning curve. So success should be defined by you and not defined by what somebody else tells you, or how other people view success. Very important, very important. And so, yeah, look, that's what I think is important for this week. And just to think of that. Think about how you look at success. Think about how you define success. Think about how you can be successful. Because I'll tell you what, I want to be successful. I want to be successful. Yeah, I do. I find that success is something that I can do, or that I can accomplish in many, many different ways, you know? And so for me, the way I do it, and the way I'd always encourage people to do, or will always encourage people to do, is when you are building something, when you want to be, let's say, a little bit more successful at managing your time, you can't just go there with the mindset of, you know, if I am struggling to manage my time, I want to change 100% and accomplish every single thing and be waking up early, on time, every single morning from the get-go. You can't just do it like that, you know? What I'm trying to say is that you cannot just go from A to Z. Once again, you cannot just make these huge dramatic changes and expect yourself to be better and to essentially stay within that time frame or stay within that lane, you know? So what you need to be doing is you need to be putting yourself through, you know, you need to change your ability. So you need to change your actions in a progressive manner and change your habits in a progressive manner. You know, you cannot just necessarily try to change everything all at once, because then you will struggle to adapt. So you want to make incremental changes. That is the key to getting into something, to sort of building on your success, or building the foundations towards being successful. You know, so work on the small steps. That's what you need to do. And again, look for inspiration. If you are on Instagram or other social media, I personally strongly suggest to, if you are looking to be successful, to follow accounts that are motivational, that will build you up, that are more about personal development, as opposed to accounts that are, you know, just all about other people and them being successful, etc. Because then you are comparing yourself all the time instead of learning and growing. But again, inspiration takes many different forms. So you need to make sure that the type of inspiration that you're following is applicable to you, and that you can use it, and that you can grow from it. And again, you cannot just look at something and expect things to happen. You have to put in the action. You have to put in the work. And so hence why I said you got to be selective with what you're following, because oftentimes a lot of social media is about us paying attention to what someone is telling us, but not necessarily about making those changes for ourselves, like long-term changes. So yeah, be selective with that. And so yeah, this story, or this topic of success is a beautiful one. It is one that we all need to hear, I believe, and it's one that we all can learn from. And so if you want to start from the basics, if you want to start from the basics of being successful, I would say that is something you need to look at very closely. Build upon yourself. Build upon yourself. Stay within your lane. Don't look too far ahead, and take one step at a time. That is what I would say is your start, not the finish, because, you know, there's a bit more to it later on, but that is the start towards you being successful. So yeah, hey, look, this is I think we've spoke quite a lot about this, so I think I'll wrap it up from here. And so look, guys, I thank you very much for listening in and paying attention to what I have to say. As always, you know, if you guys have any comments about this podcast, let me know. You can always send me an email, oliverb.consulting@gmail.com, or alternatively, you can reach me on Instagram. And so I'm more than happy to have a chat with you guys. And, you know, if you have a particular question, I'm more than happy to answer them in the next podcast that I raise. And we can have this conversation and take it further. Because, again, my thing is trying to improve, not myself, but you guys, and try to make you guys the very best version of yourselves. That's essentially is my goal. And so, yeah, hope you learned something. It's been great. It's been wonderful. And I will see you guys next week. We will discuss something even a little bit more interesting. So we talked about success today. Whereas next week, we'll talk about one of my favorite topics, working smarter and not harder. That's a beautiful topic. All right, guys, thanks again. And you guys, no matter where you're listening from in the world, I hope you have a great day, great evening, great night. And I'll talk to you guys later.